The first 3 annual conventions were held in New York area because that's where most of our graduate students existed. By 1952, we had a section down in Houston, Texas, and one out in Los Angeles, California. So by this time, we had no use for the hats, especially a hat for a team, or the gloves. What we did was we just had a new style hat, and we wore it on the job. Well, guess what we did with the gloves? We transferred them for a vest. The high style at the time. All right. So now, in the 1955, we had our first regional conference. The reason for the regional conference was so that the girls who were in a certain area would get to know each other and discuss things of a common nature. However, it was not to be in conflict with the annual national convention. In 1964, there was a very special convention. The girls invited women scientists and engineers from outside of the United States. At that time, the International Network of Women Engineers and Scientists was established. They meet about every 3 years, and sometimes in conjunction with our national convention, which they did in last year, 2014, in Los Angeles. The year 2000 was great. I wonder whether you can guess why. We were 50 years old. We had established a very strong base for which we marched forward to the present. Our incoming president of what? The National Engineers.
So as you heard from Alma, our society and the history of women in engineering in general is really quite amazing, isn't it? I've often sat back and thought about the SWE pioneers and women like Alma and how brave and courageous they were. And kind of wonder, would I be able to do that today? Would I be able to do what they did and form this historic society? Well, I joined SWE in the year 2000, which Alma left off on her story as, and that was just about 15 years ago, on, as Alma mentioned, our 50th birthday. I'd been working out in the field, wearing one of these every day, and I had just taken it off and transitioned into an office job at my first time being a design engineer and really working in an engineering office. And that's kind of how I was introduced to SWE. I met Lisa Walton from the SWE Lehigh Valley section. She'd come into our office to sell us some pumps. I was a worked for a pump manufacturer at the time. And there's Lisa back there. And Lisa and I got talking during the meeting about women in engineering and about SWE. And she asked me if I was a SWE member. And I said to her, honestly, Lisa, I don't know what SWE is. And she says, oh, you need to come to a meeting. So the meeting that Lisa invited me to was a meeting at Dorney Park in Allentown, Pennsylvania. It was a joint meeting with ASME, and during the meeting we went to the park was closed, and we got a behind-the-scenes tour of a couple of their top-selling rides, some of the biggest and coolest rides at the time. We got to learn how they worked, learn how they were designed, and then we got to ride the rides with the park closed. Okay, if I didn't join SWE after that, I would have been crazy. instantly and pretty much signed up to be a SWE member on the spot. And since that time, regardless of how my career and my life in general has changed, SWE's really been the one constant in my life for the past 15 years. I've moved many times for different jobs, taken on different roles, and every time I've been able to move, my SWEsters have been there for me to provide me some support. We talked a little bit this morning in one of the sessions about mentoring and mentors that you had in your life. And I've worked in the power industry my entire career, and there's never been a lot of a lot of women that I've been able to look up to. So my SWEsters, my friends in SWE, have become those mentors and filled those roles, providing me advice on how to be a first-time manager, how to lay somebody off, and even sometimes just where to find a good hairdresser when I move to a new town. So as my career has changed over the last 15 years, the face of our society has really changed quite a lot in recent years. I think it's a very exciting time to be part of our organization, as we're currently in a serious period of change and growth. And I think it's something that I'm excited to be a part of, proud to be a part of, and I hope you all are as well. As you heard from Mary this morning, our membership is now well over 31,000. And this is more than double that membership, double the membership that we had when I joined the society back in 2000. When I joined in 2000, our membership was about 14,000 members. That's pretty impressive how much we've changed. One of the neatest things I've gotten to experience during my time is our growth internationally and not just domestically. A few years ago, back in 2010, 2011, I was region governor, Region E here, okay, Region E. And I got to be involved when we established one of our first groups overseas. I got to work with a group of young ladies from Istanbul, Turkey, as they developed our first real formal group abroad in Istanbul at Koç University. It was and I see Beza's in the back of the room waving to us. We happen to have a representative from Koç University here with us today. And it was just a couple years ago that I met the first group of young ladies from Koç University. Two of them were here in Philadelphia when the conference was at Penn. And they were doing a semester abroad at Drexel University. They learned about SWE here during their time at Drexel and were so excited to take it back to their school that we tried to figure out a way. We've never done this internationally before. How do we form a formal group internationally? There's a lot of emails that went back and forth and a lot of discussion. And I remember the Baltimore, Washington section in Region E said, hey, we will step up and we will support this because we think that this is an awesome thing to do for the society. We need to be moving abroad. And that was our first group back in 2011 when they officially formed. Since then, as you heard this morning, we now have 5 official affiliate groups overseas, over 1,000 international members, and these groups are forming organically. We hear about a new one every day at headquarters, a new group that's interested, whether it's in Brazil, or it's in India, or it's in Germany, that's looking to form a new SWE group overseas. We're also now having, as you saw this morning, we're having conferences, annual conferences in places like India and Europe. Also, our CPC is moving internationally. We're now having corporate roundtables. CPC is no longer limited to a domestic organization. We're forming groups regionally, kind of in Europe, in India, and in Southeast Asia. Another way that SWE has really been changing is in terms of our involvement in government relations and public policy, which I think is something quite exciting. We are working on becoming the go-to resource for government leaders in the area of diversity and STEM. I have to admit, 2 years ago when I participated in my first congressional visit day, I was actually quite nervous about it. I remember Alexis was there, and she remembers probably how nervous I was. So for those of you who don't know, every year, SWE is involved in Congressional Visits Day, where we go to Capitol Hill and take a group, we get some training on policy and STEM, and the important things that are going on in Capitol Hill these days. And then we meet with our senators and our congressmen. We walk around and go to their offices. And I had the pleasure of meeting my senators and my congressman from West Virginia last year. And we sit down with them and we talk with them and with their staffers about policy and why we feel that diversity in STEM and funding policies in this area is so important. So 2 years ago was the first time I went, and I was really impressed when I got there at how big a machine and how organized this operation was. And that was only the 5th anniversary of us having done that. Back in 2008, the first group of 3 SWE representatives went down to Capitol Hill and was involved in our first congressional visit day. Last year, SWE led the charge, leading and training representatives from 30+ different diversity and STEM organizations to go talk to their congressmen. And we had over 20 participants from our board of directors and from local SWE members who came to talk to their representatives. I think it's really incredible to see how that has grown in just 5 short years. We'll be doing it again next month in March, and I can't wait to see how many representatives we have this year. We've also been really involved in really promoting public policy. That's something that's become very near and dear to our heart. We've got 3 position papers out there now on the subject. And even our SWE presidents and our executive directors are being sought out by Washington now as that go-to resource. We had Stacey Del Vecchio just a few years ago sat on a congressional panel, and every day we're getting those phone calls to provide our opinion and our assessment of the situation on Capitol Hill. And I really find this super exciting, as public policy was not an area that we were involved in just back at the turn of the century. Our first involvement really became in 2005, when we worked on that first position paper with ASME. So we talked a little bit today about SWE's birth, its history, and